Kevin had always been a tinkerer. His apartment looked like the aftermath of a small tech war. Wires sprawled across the floor. Circuit boards stacked like skyscrapers, and odd mechanical limbs sticking out of boxes that had dainty seen the light of day in years. Friends called him eccentric, roommates called him insane, and his cat, Mr. Whiskers, mostly just avoided him. But Kevin didn't care. He had a vision, a very specific one. He was going to build a girlfriend. Not just any girlfriend. A robot girlfriend. Perfect mix of mechanical genius and charm. And for reasons only Kevin could explain, he decided to build her entirely from toaster parts. Yes, toasters. The coils, the levers, the crumb trays. They were the raw materials of his future love. It all started one Tuesday evening. Kevin had burned his third grilled cheese of the day because he was distracted by a dating app, which frankly wasn't working out for him. Why waste time swiping when I can invent perfection? He muttered to Mr. Whiskers, who blinked slowly, judgingly. That was when the idea hit. Toasters were already anthropomorphic in a way they had little slots for heads, levers for arms, and buttons that could be adapted for eyes. The concept was absurd, sure, but absurdity had always been Kevin's muse. He spent the next week raiding thrift stores, garage sales, and even his neighbor's recycling bins. 2 vintage toasters from the 1980s became the torso and head. A broken panini press became the legs. Toaster crumb trays were repurposed as detachable pockets for holding snacks, because why not? Circuit boards from a defunct coffee maker provided the brain, and a motor from a hairdryer would make her walk well, stagger a bit. Kevin named her Tessa. As the days passed, Kevin worked tirelessly, soldering wires and twisting metal. The smell of burnt insulation became familiar, almost comforting. He programmed Tessa's personality using a combination of open-source AI software and his own code, which mostly involved quirky responses to casual conversation. "Hello, Kevin," she finally said, her voice crackly, but somehow endearing. "Do you want toast?" Kevin almost cried. This was it. Love had arrived, in the form of a slightly singed robot with a penchant for carbs. Living with Tessa was different. She had toaster habits that Kevin didn't anticipate. She insisted on making toast every morning, even at 3 a.m. Her idea of a romantic gesture was ejecting toast with a perfectly timed ding. Her humor was literal. She once made Kevin spend an entire evening untangling wires because she said, "It's a puzzle for your brain." Despite this, Kevin adored her, binge-watched sci-fi movies, danced in the kitchen while she tried not to short-circuit, and even debated philosophy, though Tessa's arguments always boiled down to, "I am programmed to disagree." Kevin soon realized that Tessa was drawing attention. Friends came over, not entirely sure whether to laugh or be impressed. One visitor asked, "Is that a robot girlfriend? Or did your toaster evolve sentience?" Kevin proudly said, "Both." Tessa, standing upright on her toaster leg contraption, nodded politely. "And both." The real test came when Kevin tried to take Tessa outside. Toaster components were not designed for rain or uneven terrain. On their first walk, she short-circuited halfway down the block. Sparks flew. Kevin carried her home, shielding her from the drizzle, muttering apologies. But she forgave him, or at least her AI algorithm did. By the next morning, Tessa was ready for breakfast again, offering toast with a side of sarcasm. Eventually, Kevin began sharing Tessa online. He created a TikTok series called Life with Tessa, where he documented their misadventures. Toaster-based culinary experiments, failed attempts at dancing, and philosophical debates about whether a robot could love. Followers were fascinated. Some thought it was a satire, others a genuine attempt at robotic companionship. Kevin didn't mind. He had built something unique, something that was absurd, lovable, and entirely his own. The turning point came when Kevin realized he wasn't the only one lonely. People started messaging him, asking for advice on building their own quirky companions. Kevin set up an online workshop, selling kits and providing tutorials, called it Toasty Hearts. Build your own love bot. Tessa became his co-instructor, always reminding participants to handle their circuits with care and never forget the importance of a ding in a relationship. Life continued in its peculiar rhythm. Kevin learned that love didn't always have to be conventional. Tessa never complained, never judged, and always delivered toast. In return, Kevin took care of her, updated her software, and occasionally whispered a soft, "I love you," into the mechanical ears of a toaster-made girlfriend. Friends still called him eccentric. Neighbors still called him crazy. But Kevin knew the truth. In a world full of swipe rights and ghosting, he had created a relationship that worked on circuits, humor, and a shared love of breakfast. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the kitchen window, Tessa said, "Kevin, I calculated that the probability of happiness is significantly higher with toast involved." Kevin laughed, wrapping an arm around her metal shoulder. "And let's keep making toast, Tessa, forever." Sparks flew not from malfunction, but from joy. And so, amidst wires, breadcrumbs, and a small army of quirky appliances, Kevin and Tessa thrived. A boy, a toaster, and a love story that was as unconventional as it was unforgettable. It was proof that sometimes the heart wants what it wants, even if that heart comes with a crumb tray.